Nascar's Winston West Series preparing to inaugurate a brand new speedway in Kansas City, Kansas. Some of the young guns are in the field today, and a veteran invader from another stock car series will do battle here this afternoon. Welcome to the brand new Kansas Speedway in Kansas City, Kansas, a brand new mile-and-a-half super speedway. The inaugural weekend is at hand. The NASCAR Winston West Series is on Fox Sports Net. Hello again, everyone. I'm Rick Benjamin. Kenny Wallace is alongside, and Brent Stover is on pit road. 24 Winston West Series cars and a couple of invaders are here to do battle today. First weekend of action at this brand new facility. One of the young guns is on the pole here this weekend. He is standing by with Brent Stover.
Thanks a lot. You know, the name Wood is synonymous with NASCAR racing, and this is John Wood, 19 years old. You're on the pole today. Is there pressure being in that position?
Well, I wouldn't say so much pressure as it is concern with the tire problems that we've been having the past couple of days here. The main thing is being able to manage the tires and not have a problem.
Are you prepared to possibly lead the first ever lap at Kansas Speedway?
I guess I'm prepared. I don't know if it's such an honor to be able to race here and to be the first race ever at this Speedway. And I mean, the fans they're all ready to go, and we'll just see what happens.
How many 19-year-old kids get to do what you're doing right now?
Not many. In fact, I think I'm the youngest here in this series, and Herschel McGriff is 73, and he's the oldest. And I was talking to him this morning in the driver's meeting, and I was like, you know, you're the same age as my grandpa. I don't know what it would be like racing with my grandpa. So I don't know. It's really cool being young and just doing what you love.
All right, have fun out there.
Thanks a lot.
19-year-old John Wood makes his third start of the season. Back up to you guys.
John Wood has certainly had a great early season in one of the Wood Brothers Fords, the 50 car. He'll be on the pole here a little later this afternoon. Kenny Wallace, we've got some local favorites in the field as well today, but when you come to a new racetrack for the very first time, what are you trying to accomplish?
These Winston West drivers have been on this racetrack for 2 to 3 days all by themselves, trying to go as fast as they can. Now they're going to have to find out in the first 20 laps, where do they need to pass, outside, inside, where's the track slippery. So it's going to be a good start to a new racetrack.
Let's go back downstairs to Brent.
Thanks a lot, guys. You know, I'm with a racer here today who has made NASCAR history. He's the only NASCAR driver ever to have grown up literally in his own backyard. And John O'Neill, you're from Kansas City, and where exactly did you grow up?
Actually, I grew up in turn 3 of where the Kansas Speedway now sits. My family moved out here back in 1985, graduated high school in 87, and where this house is, and then I think in 98 when NASCAR came up and purchased the real estate in this area. Parents gladly sold to NASCAR. We're a racing family, and we was happy to see this development.
And you've chosen to make your first ever Winston West start right here in Kansas City.
It's definitely a sentimental has a sentimental feeling for us to be able to compete literally in my own backyard in front of my hometown fans. You know, my mom doesn't get to watch me race very much, and this is going to give her an opportunity finally to come out and watch me race.
Well, go get him today.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
John O'Neill of right here in Kansas City starts 21st, so he's got a tough row to hoe. Guys.
John O'Neill and his dad, big stars at I-70 and at Lakeside on the short tracks of the Kansas City area. Brent has moved over now to talk to another local runner. Sammy Potashnik is from around this region as well. Let's go back to Brent.
Sammy Potashnik joins us from Sikeston, Missouri. And Sammy, not too far down here to Kansas Speedway. What do you think of the new racetrack?
It's a great facility. The Lucas Oil Chevrolet is running pretty good in both the ARCA race and the West race. We qualified 10th for the West, 13th for the ARCA. I mean, this is great. We got a new super speedway in the Midwest. There's a huge fan base here. Home track for me for the Winston West Series. Closest one to my hometown of Sikeston, Missouri we run. And, you know, I'm just really excited. The fans are here. The track's great. State-of-the-art facility, similar to Vegas, similar to Charlotte. And this appears to be the way that the new tracks are heading, is this mile and a half for the fans and for the drivers.
Well, Kenny Wallace, what does it mean to a race car driver to be able to run in your home territory?
Well, it means a lot. I mean, Sammy Potashnik, man, he's been traveling all over running this Winston West Series. So, I mean, just to be right here in your backyard, it makes you feel like you belong. This is your track.
Well, there's a guy in the field today who's come a long way to run. He's with Brent.
Kazuki Saito from Japan. And Kazuki, it's a long way from Japan to Kansas City. How did you get started in racing?
I have a really interesting about this kind of the race. We have, oval course in Japan, Motegi. This series we went a couple years ago, so I have a really interesting about NASCAR. So I like to start this racing. So this is my third race. Just running right now. So.
You're starting in the back row. How does one get themselves all the way to the front from there?
Yeah, it's a long race. So, I got good time yesterday's practice. So, but the qualifying is, I don't have experience about single car qualifying. It's difficult for me. But during the practice, I got a good time, and I think I can go to the keep my position in the state track and no trouble, and I have to running, then going to go on.
Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Saito in that Pioneer Chevrolet. He'll start in the 23rd starting spot. He certainly got his work cut out for him. Not really a long race, Kenny. 100 laps.
You can tell he's trying to figure it out. All the luck to him in the world.
We will be back with more from the Kansas Speedway on Fox. Welcome back to the brand new Kansas Speedway in Kansas City, Kansas, here on Fox Sports Net. The NASCAR Winston West Series today. Take a look at this, Kenny. You've seen this movie before, a 1.5-mile tri-oval.
Yes, it sure is. Rick, I'll tell you what, it seems like this is the most popular track on the circuit.
Let's take a look at our starting lineup today. Kevin Richards is on the outside pole, but the pole sitter is young John Wood in the Wood Brothers Auto Concierge Ford Taurus. Second row, Jason Small on the outside of the 14 car. Frank Kimmel, the defending ARCA champion, in his number 46 on the inside. Row number 3, Andy Hillenberg from Charlotte in the 48. That's the BAM Pontiac. And Austin Cameron from El Cajon, California in the Creative Touch Chevrolet, the number 12. The fourth row, Eric Norris, a couple of second places for him this year from Dallas, the Jana-King Ford. And Brendan Gaughan, the defending series champion from Las Vegas. He's in the Napa Martin Senor Chevrolet. The fifth row, Bill Sedgwick, a former Winston West champion from Acton, California, the 24-hour Fitness Chevrolet. And you met Sammy Potashnik from Sikeston, Missouri, the Lucas Oil Chevrolet Monte Carlo. Row number 6 on the inside, Steve Portengay from Sparks, Nevada in the 3 car. That's the Roto-Rooter Chevrolet Monte Carlo. And outside, Tim Woods III, newly signed to Roush Racing for next year. He's from Chino Hills, California in a Taurus. Seventh row, Brandon Ash in the 23 car from Umpqua, Oregon, the United Western Grocers Ford Taurus. And the ageless one, Herschel McGriff at age 73 from Portland, the MBNA Chevrolet. The 8th row, Sean Woodside has the inside of the 45 from Saugus. And outside in the 9 car, Mike Duncan from Lamont, California, the Surface Pumps Chevrolet. In row number 9, Mark Reed, the series point leader in car number 4. That's the Dillon Sara Lee Pontiac. And Troy Klein, the sprint car veteran, the 11 from Hawthorne, California, the Haas Automation Chevrolet. Getting to the back of the field now in the 10th row, Johnny Borneman, who has a win this year on the Tour from Ramona, California, the Red Line Oil number 8. That's a Ford. And Mike David from Modesto, California, the InjuryHelpline.com Ford. That is car number 5. In the 11th row, we talked to John O'Neill Jr. in car number 1. He's from Kansas City, the Price Chopper Chevrolet. And Jack Sellers in the 15 from Sacramento, California. That's the Dayco Belts Pontiac. 12th and final row today, we'll have Kazuki Saito from Tokyo, Japan. We met him earlier in the Pioneer Chevrolet. And Scott Gaylord in the 00, the Oliver Gravity Separator Chevrolet. He will start in the 24th position today. So Kenny Wallace, 24 cars on hand. Some really good cars up front. John Wood, Frank Kimmel, Andy Hillenberg. This ought to be a good one.
Rick, I'm excited. I think I'm going to learn something. I'm going to be here in the Busch Series in a couple months.
That's right. Well, let's take a look at some of our onboard views that we'll have for you here this afternoon. First, the Jana-King Ford for Eric Norris. Dallas, Texas. Norris lines up the 32 car in 7th spot today. We'll look through the windshield of that machine as he hits the banking here. We'll also take you for a ride in Brendan Gaughan's Napa Chevrolet, the 16 car. Gaughan qualifying alongside Norris in the 4th row, so we'll have plenty of action from the first 8 or 10 starting spots today. Sean Woodside will take us for a ride as well in the 45 car. He starts in the 15th spot, the inside of row number 8 alongside Mike Duncan's machine, and he needs a good run today. We'll also be riding with Mark Reed, who's been the series point leader almost from the start of the season in car number 4. That is the Food for Less Pontiac, and Reed did not qualify particularly well. He starts back in 17th. That may be his worst starting spot of the year.
I don't think it really matters. These guys have entertained us all year long. 5 to 10 drivers have been able to win, and I don't think it matters where they start.
Now, one of the drivers who should be a contender here today, Mike Duncan, back in the 8th row. He had problems getting going down on pit road. Brent Stover standing by with his crew chief.
All right, the Mike Duncan car was supposed to start 16th, had some problems right out of the box. What seems to be the situation?
It's a kill switch that NASCAR mandates us to run. It just kind of malfunctioned a little bit, but it's good now.
So are you okay? You're going to start in the back, but obviously right now you've got a big challenge.
Yeah, we're going to start in the back, but this is a good race car, surface pump Chevrolet Monte Carlo, so we'll be all right.
Is it tough to put a situation like that behind you? I mean, a tough start for the day.
Yeah, he's fine right now. Everybody's on the same page, new racetrack and everything, so we'll be good.
Now, when a kill switch goes bad, Kenny, why would you have trouble getting the car started?
I can tell you that every time I get in my Busch Grand National car, I will accidentally touch that kill switch. You need to locate that thing on the steering wheel where you won't accidentally hit it. Sounds to me like he just might have accidentally hit it, putting his steering wheel on, and didn't know it.
Refired the car, and he's back on the racetrack. Well, we're going to grab a quick timeout here at the Kansas Speedway before we get ready to put this one under green. The NASCAR Winston West Series, 8th event of the 2001 season, next up on Fox Sports Net. Welcome back to the Kansas Speedway, Kansas City, Kansas. I'm Rick Benjamin. Winston Cup star Kenny Wallace is alongside Brent Stover on pit road for us today. About ready to send 24 cars on their way in the 8th event of the 2001 NASCAR Winston West Series season. Kenny, you've got John Wood up front. He's been strong when we've watched him this year, but he is a youngster, 19 years old. Kevin Richards has been quick in many places. The guy I want to watch is Frank Kimmel, the ARCA champion, who starts inside the second row.
Man, I think you hit it dead on. Frank Kimmel's the guy right now that has got a ton of experience on these big mile-and-a-half racetracks. So, I mean, this is it, Rick. Here they come to the green, the first race ever at Kansas City. I'm excited.
You've got Austin Cameron, Eric Norris, and Brendan Gaughan also right in that front group of cars, about ready to put this one underway. And remember, the point leader, Mark Reed, has to come from way back in the 9th row. Green's in the air. We're underway here on Fox.
Wow, not a very good start by John Wood.
He got up high on the racetrack there. Looked like Kimmel was going to go down underneath as we watched Saito there in the 18 car for a moment. And Richards in the 85 has jumped up to the early lead.
Yeah, John Wood all the way back to 5th. Now you can see him starting to come back on the inside of the 4th place car there. Here we are, first lap at Kansas City.
Frank Kimmel moving to second spot, or trying to get second spot away from one of the other machines, from Jason Small's car. Kimmel in that red and black 46 car, the Advance Auto Parts Chevrolet.
Man, Rick, I'm already impressed. Look at that. No problems on the outside. A brand new racetrack, you're usually concerned about the outside groove. Everybody wants the inside. These guys are already running too wide with no problems.
Now, there's not much rubber down here, but you do have brand new asphalt to work with.
Brand new asphalt right in the middle of the Midwest. The aggregate's good. It means the people that pave this track aren't going to have any problem. They're used to this heat. So a great job already.
Richards is your leader in the 85. Kimmel now second in the 46, and John Wood rides third in the 50 car. In the opening couple of laps here at Kansas. Jason Small right up there. He qualified very well in the second row in that 14 car in the Ken Small Construction Chevrolet. There's a challenge for the lead. Looks like Kimmel wants to try to shove his way by Richards. Can't get the job done.
Rick, when Frank Kimmel tried to go to the inside there, he's got to get the pass made, because when you're running 200 mile an hour going on the inside of these racetracks, you got to make sure that the aerodynamics are able to get to your right rear spoiler. Here he goes again. Let's watch him. Ooh, right down there on the white line. Making a great pass.
Kimmel pushes by on the underneath side of the 85 car, so give Frank Kimmel the lead here in the early going at Kansas. Now, Kenny, let's talk about this just for a second. Kimmel's the ARCA champion. The ARCA cars very much copies of Winston Cup type machines, as are the Winston West race cars, but they run different tires.
Well, they sure do, and it's more of a benefit to these drivers, because these guys are not the type that just totally race for a living, Rick. I mean, these guys, some of them have jobs, and we're looking at a budget for their tires. So I think it's a great rule in the Winston West Series. Keeps these guys to where they can afford to race every week. As we're in the Winston Cup or the Busch, it's unlimited.
Yeah.
When you run a race, you can spend thousands of dollars.
Now, Kenny, some of these guys, like Kimmel, have another problem. They're going to run 2 races in one day. How hard is that on the driver and the team?
Physically, you got to make sure you're drinking enough water, but it's going to be a great advantage of these guys. If they run the next race, they're going to be ready to go. Wow, look at there. Kevin Richards slows up. John Wood almost runs in the back of him. Kevin Richards looked like he might have got loose, or I think he's got a problem.
Sure does look that way. Kevin Richards was up in front, started on the outside of the front row, jumped to the lead early, but he's going to head to pit road here, it looks like, in the 85 car. So Richards was a contender, but it looks like this may take him out of contention, and that frees up the 46 machine for Kimmel to just set sail now. He's opened up a big lead.
Man, oh man, that's what you call a bummer, folks. Kevin Richards up to running in the second spot, new racetrack, not even 10 laps into it, and looks like we're going to have to find out what happened later on. But look at this guy, Frank Kimmel. I mean, he's setting sail.
A couple of ARCA championships under his belt, and he's been a dominator in ARCA this season with 4 victories, including he put a string of 3 in a row together earlier in the year. So that is a strong race team. There's no doubt about it.
You know, Rick, when we came out here last year with the NASCAR series, we did the grand opening of this racetrack, and I think they thought about everything. I mean, the fans are sitting high. The guy in the bottom row, the lady in the bottom row, they can see the front stretch as we watch Frank Kimmel go through turns 1 and 2. This racetrack is just flawless.
Now, Kimmel's got such a good race car, too. He could afford to be patient, Kenny. He didn't push it hard at the drop of the green flag. He settled back for a couple of laps and then just eased his way to the front. Look how strong that car is.
And I tell you, Rick, that's what you got to do on a racetrack where you're entering the corners at almost 200 mile an hour. You know, this isn't a short track where if the car gets loose, you can save it. Oh, look here. I was talking about saving it.
Yeah. Looks like Kazuki Saito has gotten into the wall. He's shortened up that Chevrolet on the back end.
Well, you know, you led me into a perfect scenario here. You know, that's what Frank was doing. It's a new racetrack. You're testing the facility. You're testing it. You know, every time we go to a racetrack we run year after year, you know where the bumps are. You know the good points, the bad points. And poor Kazuki Saito here must have found a bad area here at the new racetrack for himself. 7 laps of 100 are on the board. First caution of the day here at the Kansas Speedway. Kazuki Saito hasn't dropped the window net yet in his Chevrolet. Hopefully he's fine. We'll find out when we come back. Welcome back to the Kansas Speedway in Kansas City, Kansas. First race ever. The NASCAR Winston West Tour gets the honor of inaugurating this new facility. There is Saito. He's out of the car getting a little help to the ambulance. The track safety workers on hand quickly to escort him there. He'll go to the Infield Care Center for a mandatory look-see by the doctors on hand here at Kansas. Frank Kimmel will be your restart leader. Hard to tell what happened to Saito's Chevrolet. Kenny Wallace, obviously he backed into the wall hard somewhere along the way. Yes, he did. Obviously going into turn 1 very fast, you know. But the best thing is when you crash doing 200 mile an hour, it's nice to see that guy walk to the ambulance. You bet it is. John Wood will line up second in the 50 car behind Kimmel's machine. Kevin Richards with some problems early on. He was the early leader right after the drop of the green. Richards took the 85 car down on pit road. Hasn't yet come back on the racetrack. Brent Stover down there checking things out. Let's go to Brent, find out what happened with Richards' machine.
Okay, less than 10 laps into the race. Kevin Richards, who started on the outside of row number 1, seems to be out of the race. What's the situation?
We don't know exactly what broke. Something broke in the motor. Been running great all weekend. Love the new racetrack. Hate to see it for everybody at Monaco's and all my guys. Worked real hard for this. Something like this to bite us right now isn't good.
Frustrating for a driver, especially when you were in such good position to start this race, huh?
Yeah, I just wanted to lead the first lap and then let them guys go a little bit and just run with them. I knew we had a great car, and Frank started getting a little slower, so I was going to go around him, but then it broke. So, yeah, it's very frustrating.
Frustrating way to have your first race at a brand new facility come to an end as well. A couple of cars on pit road, including the 3, the Roto-Rooter Chevrolet of Steve Portengay, Kenny. They were down on pit road for a while there under this caution. Yeah, we watched Steve went out there at Bakersfield, but, you know, new track, totally different, you know, than Bakersfield. This is a big 1.5-mile track, so he's probably making some chassis adjustments, trying to get himself feeling a little more comfortable. As we told you earlier, near Portengay's area of expertise is shock absorbers. In fact, he builds shocks for a lot of these teams, and I'll bet he spent a lot of time in the shock shop trying to get things right for this brand new facility. Oh, most definitely. You know, out on the West Coast, they run a lot of what we call bull rings, you know, little 1/4-mile, half-miles, and the cars do a lot of bouncing around, and this is probably one of the smoothest racetracks they run on besides, say, Vegas. So, you know, Steve probably did a great job on building a lot of people's shocks for a smooth racetrack. This is the 8th run of the season. There you see Mark Reed, the point leader by, I call it 43 over Brendan Gaughan, and then another 26 points back to Austin Cameron in third. You've got 3 or 4 drivers there very much in contention for the Winston West Series championship. Man, I am really impressed. Did you see that 900s all the way down through the top 10? I mean, it could take one race, a guy go from 10th in the points all the way up to about 5th. So, sure. Man, what a competitive division. Well, when you think about it, really, that you've had a bunch of different winners. You've had Portengay, you've had Johnny Borneman in victory lane, Eric Norris with a couple of seconds. So it could be anybody's chase to the championship this year. We'll see what happens in Kansas when we come back. Welcome back to the brand new Kansas Speedway here on Fox Sports Net, the NASCAR Winston West Series. I'm Rick Benjamin with Kenny Wallace, Brent Stover alongside. Down on pit road today, safety car dives in. We're about ready to put this one back under green. First caution coming out on lap 7 of 100 laps of action here today. 6 laps of yellow, and the green is back out. And the leader is Frank Kimmel on the restart. Second place belonging to John Wood, but he's getting a challenge. Jason Small going for second spot.
Rick John has had a problem restarting. This is his second time. And by the way, everything's a first here. That's the first single file restart at Kansas City.
There you go. Jason Small with a good move to get second away from John Wood as they come down the long back straightaway here. Looking at some of the cars a little further back, Brendan Gaughan, who started back in 8th spot. He was up to 5th there a moment ago. And there's Mark Reed. He started way back in 17th. Reed in the 4 car. He's at the head of that group. There's Johnny Borneman's 8 car. Tim Wood in the 50. We've got Bill Sedgwick there in the 24. So good battle for position. Reed is at the head of that group of 4.
Yeah, this is what I want to see. Let's race, boys. Mark Reed up there holding off these guys.
Mark Reed with a lot at stake today in that Food for Less machine from Bakersfield, carrying the Dillons and Sara Lee Deli and Coca-Cola colors on that machine this afternoon. Ralph's Food for Less, of course, is major sponsor, West Coast grocery chain. And Reed, the point leader, has had a great early season now.
Whoa!
Here we go, 3 wide. Portengay threading his way down the middle to get by Eric Norris's machine.
That's my heartbeat right now, folks. Turn 3, 3 wide. Hey, you can do it, but you got to make sure everybody holds the ground.
As we ride with Norris through the tri-oval over the start-finish line, he lost a couple of spots, and Portengay really got going there.
Yeah, that was Portengay coming from the back of the pack. Remember, Rick, we watched him make that early pit stop, and he qualified 11th, so, he's got a good car.
Brandon Ash in the 23 car makes a move. That's Andy Hillenberg in the BAM Pontiac getting past. I thought Hillenberg would be very strong here today. He qualified 5th, but that car does not seem up to speed at all.
Well, in the early going, he's going to be able to adjust on this car. We got 100 laps here at Kansas City, so everybody's doing what they can do right now. He'll be looking for that first pit stop, make some chassis adjustments. I look for Andy to be stronger when he adjusts his car.
Brandon Ash in contention here in the top 10. He puts Hillenberg back, though, 4 or 5 car lengths early. Let's jump ahead and take a look at some of the other competitors. There you've got Sedgwick and Borneman battling as they work by Mark Reed's machine. One car getting by. Tim Woods gets by Reed's machine. Reed pushed up into the second groove there.
Rick, let's talk about this Tim Woods third. Okay, this is an African-American running really strong. Jack Roush has signed him up. This guy can drive. He is incredible.
Only in his 3rd year of competition. Just started a few years ago in local late models on the West Coast.
That's right, and we always bring it up. We have Willie T. Ribbs on the truck circuit right now, African-American. This guy is flat getting the job done, and I really look forward to Jack Roush bringing him on and just seeing if he can make it all the way up to Busch or Cup.
Now, he and John Wood will step into Roush trucks in the 2002 season, so we'll see a couple of future stars here. Meantime, Jason Small goes by Kimmel, so the 14 goes to the top of the leaderboard. Kimmel pushed way up high on the racetrack.
Nothing too small about old Jason right there. He's pretty big right now.
Jason is 21 years of age. You talk about young guns. Now, he has not been widely heralded this year. He celebrates his 22nd birthday later this month, but he's doing a great job here today. Kimmel way off the pace. Brendan Gaughan goes by him.
Well, he sure is. I don't know what he's doing. I see like a smoke or something. Yeah, we got a little bit of smoke, maybe a left front flat, it looks to me like.
I was going to say, it looked like he might well have a tire down the way he pushed up out of the groove there. So Kimmel comes to pit road under green. That is a big blow to his chances. Welcome back to the Kansas Speedway. One of the early leaders, Frank Kimmel, the ARCA champion, is on pit road. Kenny Wallace, he had a tire down. They're going to fuel the car as well.
Rick, brand new racetrack, tire problems already. Left front sees a lot of heat. It might have tore it up.
So under green, Kimmel has to give up great track position and come to pit road for tires and for fuel. Might be able to do this one in just one stop. Let's find out more from Brent.
A handful of the pit crews came down to the pit of Frank Kimmel to take a look at this blown tire, and it is totally shredded. The Hoosier Tire people are taking a look right now, and boy, oh boy, a bad break for Frank Kimmel, who was in the lead, and obviously he's not now. Back up to you guys.
Now that tire came apart in an odd place, Kenny, around at the top of the sidewalk.
Rick, to me, the experience I have, that looks like too low air pressure. What that means is you start the race out. If Hoosier says, okay, we want 22 pounds in that left side, and you say, well, we're going to take her down to 18 pounds. That means it works the outside of that tire really, really hard. Looks to me like too low of air pressure.
We will continue to watch that situation. I want to correct something we said a few moments ago. We mentioned that Kimmel and Hillenberg would be changing tires. They're really not. Hoosier, of course, is the tire of choice in ARCA, as well as Winston West. So, and radials are in use here at the Kansas Speedway. So might not be much of an adjustment at all, tire to tire, for these teams that want to run both events. A couple of other drivers in the Winston West Series, Brendan Gaughan among them, will run the ARCA race a little later on too. Here's a battle for position a little deeper in the field here. We watch the 12 car of Austin Cameron working by Mark Reed. So Reed had made an early jump up the standings, but now he's backpedaling. And there's Herschel McGriff swinging by in the 04. Portengay, part of that group of cars. There's Eric Norris now working by Troy Klein. He tucks in behind Portengay and Sammy Potashnik for position.
Hey, and that's our hometown hero from Sykeston, Missouri. Sammy Potashnik running real well, just passed all those cars.
Here comes Norris now to the high side of the 3-car Portengay as they hit the start-finish line one more time. Klein in the mix, too. This is for 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th here in the early going at Kansas.
And I tell you what, Portengay thinks he's trying to take the lead right now. Look at him on the inside right there. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're leading, running 8th, 9th, or 10th. And that's what he's doing right now, and he's trying to go for it.
Good battle for position down the back straightaway here. Potashnik at the front of that group of cars, the Lucas Oil machine. Portengay with him. Norris, who finished second at Laguna Seca a couple of weeks ago. And then the 11 of Troy Klein. They're starting to put some distance now on Klein, but you've got 3 cars nose to tail coming through the trioval.
Rick, I'll tell you one thing I do like about Portengay is he's eating that white lineup. Let's watch him when he goes into turn 1 here. Let's see if he gets down. Yeah, look at there. Look at that. Look at that speed he catches.
Gets a wheel down below the line there. Now, does that give you better exit speed from the corner when you're down that low?
I tell you, there's something about that white line. It's hard to explain to the people in the grandstands, but it's like stick 'em. Wow, he chopped the corner there. You got to be careful. If you get too low, it'll make that left rear tire real light and bring the car around on you to spin out. But he's judging it just right. It's like stick 'em down to that white line. Sometimes can be really adhesive and really stick the car good, enable you to get in the gas quick.
Now you can see there Brendan Gaughan has slowed way down, and here's the leader, Jason Small. He's gotten out of the gas too, Kenny. They're waving a caution flag. This is going to be a competition yellow mandated by NASCAR.
Yes, we talked about this earlier before the race, Rick. You know, we knew this was going to happen. We've already seen that in just 15 to 20 laps. Frank Kimmel already had problems with his left front tire. So this is a safety measure that NASCAR has brought in. We applaud them for it. These guys are going to have an opportunity to come down and look at their tires because this is a new racetrack. It's a new territory, and everybody's got to be easy, and they're going to adjust their chassis now, and hopefully we won't have no more tire problems.
Now, this is a 1.5 mile high-banked racetrack, and it's very hot, of course, in Kansas City, Kansas at this time of the year. So track temperature's plenty high today, and that can play havoc with tires. Small will lead the field down onto pit road. The crews will jump the wall and take a look at the tire wear. The Hoosier engineers will also want to see what kind of tire wear they're getting at all 4 corners of these cars. So you can expect these teams to change 4 tires, I would imagine, 25 laps into the race.
I'll most definitely change all 4 tires. You know, Rick, look at this camera view. I mean, what great pits at a new racetrack. I mean, they've done their job. Here's Jason Small going to put 4 tires on.
He'll come to the attention of his crew. A wide pit road really helps you on exiting pit road, doesn't it?
Well, I tell you what, we learned so much through the years. You know, the racetracks built 80 years ago, we say, man, we can't even get into pits. And now look at all this room.
Plenty of room for Brendan Gaughan and Small. We'll come back with plenty more at Kansas City. We are back at Kansas Speedway, the Kansas 100, the 8th stop of the 2001 NASCAR Winston West Series Tour here on Fox Sports Net. Mandatory caution, a competition yellow thrown after 25 laps. Field comes in to check tires, change tires. I'm sure everybody took advantage to get a little gas, too. Here's the 23 at Brandon Ash, one of the first cars off of pit road, Kenny Wallace.
I tell you, either that was a lightning fast pit stop, or he might have pitted earlier and just taken on right sides at that time. But nevertheless, he's got great track position.
Jason Small had been the leader when the caution came out. He is not the first car off pit road, not by a long shot. He's right ahead of Troy Klein's machine, the red and white 11 car. Looks like Ash will be our restart leader here in a couple of moments as they fall in behind the safety car, getting ready to go green. And Brandon Ash, one of the strong young pilots on the NASCAR Winston West Tour. Ash drives that 23 car with a lot of success out of Umpqua, Oregon, the United Western Grocers Ford Taurus. And there is Small in the Ken Small Construction Chevrolet. Sponsor needed, I guess you'd say, on that very clean-looking race car. And Portengay in the Roto-Rooter number 3. Now, Portengay will start on the restart pole. He was first off of pit road.
Now, let's talk about that for a minute. I'm not so sure Portengay pitted. I think what happened is he pitted around lap 10. I think he came in. He knew they were going to have this mandatory caution. And I think he came in, he put 4 tires on, said, how did those tires look? Now he's sitting there leading the race because he didn't come in.
And as such a handling guru as he is, working on shock absorbers, building them himself, he may well come up with a setup here that is not as abusive to the tires as some of the other teams are.
That's right. You know, I think you're right. I think he knows what the track needs. He's got a lot of friends on the East Coast, Winston Cup drivers. He's saying, hey, what do these tracks, what do they need, what do they take? You know, and he's doing a great job. You know, let me go back, okay? NASCAR said we're going to throw the caution at lap 25, give everybody an opportunity. I said mandatory. It's not a mandatory. It doesn't mean you have to come down pit road. What they're saying is, hey, we're going to give all of you an opportunity to come in. So he didn't have to come in.
Yeah. Well, Portengay will restart in front of John O'Neill in the 1 car. He lines up in second, and there's Kimmel a lap down on the inside row. He's at the head of the inside column of cars there in the 46. Good chance, though, for him to get his lap back.
Well, I was just going to say, Rick, I start laughing to myself. I can't help it. I just know this 46 is going to check out. I mean, he's been fast and wicked fast at that.
Kimmel being shown right now back in 21st spot of the 24 cars in the field, and that is an uncharacteristic place to find the driver of the 46 machine. Ready for the green to reappear on lap 28. 72 to go. Green is in the air. We're back underway at Kansas Speedway. And there goes Kimmel right by Portengay at the drop of the green.
And that's one thing you got to say about Kimmel. Not just do his cars handle good, but I mean, he's even got great transmission and good restart capabilities. We said he was fast. Look at this.
Opens up 6 or 7 car lengths on Portengay right off the get-go. Now Brandon Ash has moved around John O'Neill's machine to take over second spot as well. Here comes the rest of the field battling down into turn 3.
Man, this looks like a heat race at your local short track. 2 by 2 going into 3. That's exciting.
Potashnik on the inside there in the 65 machine. Other cars in the mix. You've got Austin Cameron in the 12 right in there with that group of cars. And Eric Norris is hanging around in there too, battling back for 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th spot.
Wow, Austin's tough. Look at him on the outside there of our local hero once again.
Johnny Borneman sticking the nose of the 8 car in that group of traffic as well, as these guys battle for position back. Actually, this starts at 5th and goes all the way back to about 15th spot. You've got a great battle going on there.
Yeah, Potashnik holds them off going into 3 there. You know, this is one thing about this racetrack I thought was going to happen. It's starting to happen, Rick. You know, the track, the competition's closing up. Everybody's getting ready to figure this whole place out. Almost 30 laps into it.
Yeah, Brendan Gaughan in that 16 car back in 9th right now, and he's trying to move up. Plenty of room to race here, especially through that front straightaway tryover.
I believe I just heard him hit the rev limiter. Let's stay tuned.
Wide open down the backstretch. Did it sound like he's bumping the rev limiter there going into 3?
You know what? It sounds a little rough to me. I think he's fine. You know, sometimes you try to really, you know, it's neat to have those in-car cameras.
Absolutely. As we watch the leaders, 30 laps are on the board. They're small on the 14. It's still Portengay and Ash up in front. Cameron now trying to race his way by Potashnik. That's for 5th spot. And right in the mix as well as John Wood in the 50 car. Wood will get by Cameron to take over 6th.
Man, oh man, no matter what, the bottom is just fast right now. That white line. Austin tried the outside to get around Potashnik, couldn't do good. Now look at here, John Wood trying the outside. Let's see, look at this. The outside's faster for John Wood. His car's set up to run the outside.
Wood working on Potashnik there as they come to the front straightaway. Cameron right in behind along with Brendan Gaughan. And it looks like the high side will work for John Wood. He'll pick up a spot, move up to 5th.
And look at Austin. Austin said, by God, I tried it early. I think Sammy's slow.
Yeah, the 65 car definitely with a problem. He is off the pace. The Lucas Oil Chevrolet. Potashnik out of the throttle as they come onto the backstretch. Tough break indeed because he was in the top 5 just a moment ago. Meantime, Brandon Ash has just gotten around Steve Portengay for the lead.
Wow, that's impressive right there. Portengay has been fast. He found that early groove of right down there on the white line.
Now we're still early in the going. Portengay started 11th. Brandon Ash started 13th. So Kenny Wallace sets a strong drive for the pilot of the 23 there.
Yeah, it really is. And not just is it a strong drive for him, but I think what's happening right now is we're seeing these guys, these drivers, find out what this racetrack's all about. For 2 days they've been out here all by themselves. I bet a lot of them haven't even found that white line. And, you know, they run about in the middle of the racetrack, and now they're just really finding out what this racetrack's all about and how to drive it. And a lot of guys that didn't qualify good, like we talked earlier, are now coming on.
Watching the leaders funnel through to put another lap on the board here. Take a look back at Brendan Gaughan working on Austin Cameron in the 12. Gaughan in the Napa Chevrolet, the 16 car.
Austin, I love saying that name. Oh, wow, look at this. Gone underneath Austin.
Brendan Gaughan with his first win on the tour a while back, for this season anyway, trying to move up and get into contention. And Jason Small coming back here as well. Good three-car battle.
Man, oh man, whoa, look at that. Gaughan almost got up in the left rear of Austin Cameron. I keep wanting to say Austin Powers. I can't help myself. I mean, that's not a bad guy to be, Austin Powers.
I guess not.
Look at this. This is a great race. Brendan Gaughan trying to get around Austin Cameron.
The 12th car is Cameron. Gaughan in the 16 right behind him. And Small, who led earlier, started 4th in that 14 car. He is right in the hunt as well.
Now, Rick, let me explain something to all the people out there saying, okay, you're faster, why don't you just pass him? This is all aerodynamics. Now, let's watch Brendan. He's going to try to make a move here. But now we almost got a 5-car freight train. This racetrack going 200 mile an hour really is aerodynamic. That's what it's all about. The car, when you get them bunched up like this, the guy in the front has seen clean air. Now, Brendan Gaughan, his car doesn't see any air because he's right up underneath Austin. So, I mean, you got to time everything perfectly. See, he still can't get the pass done because right now his front end isn't getting any downforce. Let's watch him keep working on him.
Gaughan trying to turn inside of the 12th car, coming off the corners, on board with Brendan Gaughan.
There we go.
Down the main straightaway.
Wow, under the white line there.
Yeah. That's dangerous there because of the elevation change in the racetrack.
If that had been Talladega or Daytona, NASCAR, the Winston Cup division would have black flagged him. They got the new out-of-bounds rule in the Winston Cup Series, you know. No racing underneath that line, but in the Winston West Series here, we just seen Brendan Gaughan take his car on the front straight over below that to make the pass.
Gaughan with the inside move. Now he's by the 12 of Cameron and starting to open up some ground there. And Small in the 14 next in that group. We've got Eric Norris there as well in the 32 car in that group of 4 machines.
This is a race. I mean, this is incredibly good racing for a racetrack this big. Once again, when you deal with a racetrack this big, it's hard to stay bumper to bumper because of what the aerodynamics do to you. It moves the car around. You'll be saying, okay, I want to be right here, and all of a sudden you're up a little bit. And that's something you have to anticipate.
Just the wind does it now. Bumper to bumper almost for the lead. Portengay in the 3 trying to get inside Brandon Ash's 23 car. They're running 1 and 2. Portengay was the restart leader after we put the green back out several laps ago. Ash got by him. Now Portengay right in his tire tracks.
Portengay still finding that white line down there really fast in the middle of turns 1 and 2.
Ash able to hold him off. Now Portengay is a great veteran of this series. Ash, a relative newcomer, a couple of years under his belt here. If you're a young driver and you don't have as much experience as the guy who's stalking you, what are you thinking when you see that car up there in the mirror?
Well, when I first started racing, I used a technique that I'm not saying anybody taught it to me, but I said, hey, that guy's not behind me. I looked ahead. You take pictures in the mirror. Every time you come up off the corner, Dick Trickle taught me this, take a picture. See where he's at so that way you don't run him in the wall. But you got to really focus on what's ahead of you.
All right, closing in on halfway. 40 laps are on the board at Kansas. We'll be right back on Fox. Welcome back to the Kansas Speedway on Fox Sports Net. The NASCAR Winston West Series, the Kansas 100. As we watch everyone trying to chase down young Brandon Ash. This is a battle a little deeper in the pack. Sean Woodside in the 45 car up to 3rd right now. A great run for Woodside, one of his best outings of the season. And he's got John Wood right with him there in the 50. Brendan Gaughan in the 16. Now, you were talking, Kenny Wallace, while we were in commercial there about Brandon Ash, who's leading the show. He's picked up, obviously, a lot of speed since qualifying yesterday.
You know what? We can say the same thing. Right now, I'm looking at the qualifying rundown. Sean Woodside. Oh, we got a wreck. John O'Neill.
Oh, boy. The Price Chopper Chevrolet of O'Neill, local hero from Kansas City, local short track star. He has belted the wall, backed it in, obviously, and shortened that Chevrolet up a ton. So O'Neill, who had high hopes today, qualified 21st and had moved up nicely. In fact, he was 4th on the restart. That is a heck of a hit that he took in that race car.
Rick, looks like he's got his left hand up holding his head, or, yeah, he did. I hope he's okay. They teach you, if you're okay, let the window net down. So hopefully, you know, the window net's down. Hopefully he's all right.
So the window net will come down, hopefully, for O'Neal. He refires the car.
Not
so
just is he all right,
yeah,
he's leaving.
He's really okay. He's got a cut tire on the left rear side, and I can't imagine that car is very drivable with all that damage. What do you think? Rear clip, I would think, would be damaged there.
Yeah, he's done for the day. Obviously not running for points. He's driving it in, that's okay, but even if they put tires on it, I mean, that car's, there's nothing on the rear, but it would be totally unstable, no downforce, and spin out going down the straightaway.
Chances are the fuel cell's been moved around underneath there and some other things too. So O'Neal's crew will have a look-see, but in all likelihood, the one car is done for the afternoon. We'll try to find out a little bit more in just a moment or two. Bob Wharton and the crew jumping the wall to try to help O'Neal, and they're not in any hurry, as you can see there. So I think they're just trying to, well, they are going to try to fuel the car.
Let me give you one tip here, Rick. When the driver, I mean, this is bad to say, but when the driver looks in the mirror and does not see his spoiler, that means your day is over. That means there's no rear end on the car.
That is certainly one of the things to watch for as we see part of a tire being picked up by the safety crew, and perhaps that tire is what caused O'Neal to wreck.
Man, you nailed it right there again. You're good today, Rick. I would guarantee you that's what happened. The whole tire rolled off.
So the safety car is back out to lead the field here as O'Neal's crew goes to work, and they will put a left rear tire on that car. They did put some fuel in it as well. Now they go around and take a look at the right side, and I think this may make this a much longer stop for O'Neal than what they had originally planned, because, as you said, Kenny, the bodywork is nowhere near being ready to go racing.
No, and Mr. John O'Neal, if you're watching this, buddy, we're taking care of you right now. We just did see the carcass of the whole tire rolled off. If the tire goes flat, it shreds. When you have when you have separation in the tire, we've seen the whole tire tread roll off there. So feel bad for you, buddy, but looks like you're okay. Just got a bent up race car.
Knowing how hard he must have hit to bend that car to that extent, I'm surprised he was able to drive it around. I'm also surprised that the crew didn't come over the wall and take a look at the right rear corner of that thing, where obviously most of the damage was done.
Yeah, and this has to be a big concern to a lot of these other drivers roll around there and see that tire rolled off like that. But you can see your NASCAR official to the left making sure that if this car goes out on the track, it's in good shape.
Well, Brent Stover is in the one pit area. Let's find out what the crew chief thinks.
Bob, any idea what happened?
Must have had a tire going down on it, blew. I mean, that's what happened. Left rear.
Get into the wall a little bit?
Yeah, the back end bent down. We're done. We was just here to make laps, so our day's over.
You're in third place. Looked like he was running pretty well.
Not too bad. We was going to do a little pit strategy and try and pit one time, and unfortunately, this was the time we did. So that's just the way it is, I guess. That's why they call it racing.
I guess so. Bob Wharton, the crew chief for John O'Neal, the hometown guy in Kansas City, was in third place, but his day is done.
Well, they used an inner liner, of course, at a 1.5 mile racetrack, so that's one of the things that helped O'Neal. But Kenny, you can see that wasn't unlike what happened to Frank Kimmel. Looked like the separation was right at the top of the sidewall.
Yes, same looking thing. Looked like the tire was going low, maybe a small air leak or something. You know, hard to comment on it. Hoosier does a great job. It's a great tire. They're up against all odds here. A brand new racetrack, 100 degrees hot, you know. So here's Portengate. Looks like he's going to put on 4 tires.
Steve Portengate running in the top couple of cars for much of this. When he led earlier on, they will stop under this caution and put right sides on the 3 car once again, waiting for the signal. Crew lets the jack down, and Portengate is down and away. Saw some of the other cars still on pit road. Austin Cameron's crew there working as we are under caution for the 3rd time here this afternoon.
Let me say something, Rick. You know, we're talking about all these blown tires. That is not to demean any tire builder out here. It's not to demean Hoosier, Goodyear, nobody. Tire builders have got the hardest job in all auto racing, going to these new racetracks to hold up these 200-mile-an-hour speeds.
Well, one guy who may have one of the hardest jobs this afternoon is Steve Portengate, a leader earlier. Looks like he's got a problem with the 3 car. We'll find out more in a moment. Welcome back to the Kansas Speedway here on Fox Sports Net. Rick Benjamin with Kenny Wallace. Brent Stover down on pit road for us. Ready to restart, Kenny, after that long caution period, and we see Brandon Ash ready to take the restart pole here. Just about to halfway. Looks like Steve Portengate's afternoon is done early.
Man, this is a big story. This is Steve Portengate, one of the legends in the Winston West Series, having problems coming out of pit road, in great shape, running up front. And, folks, I do not know what is wrong. I mean, the only thing we can do, Rick, is speculate. He just came off a pit road.
Now, he was able to get off pit road, but he was never able to get the car up to speed. Wonder if maybe it dropped a drive shaft or a gearbox?
You know, you would think something like that because, okay, he just made a pit stop. Okay, you're thinking he's spinning the tires, maybe something in the valve train, but we did not see that, so I don't think it's that. Could be transmission, or it could just be a freak deal where one of the ignition boxes went out, but I don't think it's that because they got a backup ignition box. We're just going to have to wait to find out.
We will find out more when Portengay gets that car down around pit road. Brandon Ash, meantime, in the 23 car, ready to lead us back to green here from Oregon, the Unified Western Grocers Ford Taurus down the back straightaway.
You know, Rick, earlier before John O'Neill wrecked, we were talking about Brendan Ash. Now, look at this. Brendan Ash was a 2nd and 2/10 off your pole speed of John Wood, and he is holding off John Wood. Now, that's what I talk about a new racetrack, finding out what it wants. Brendan is fast now, and he's outrunning John Wood.
So Portengay gets a final shove, and he'll coast around and down to pit road, see if the team can get that car refired and ready to come back into action. Tough break for Portengay because not very many laps ago, in fact, at lap 30, he was the leader. He was second at lap 40. We're not quite to lap 50 yet, so Portengay very much a contender here today. But Brendan gone, Eric Norris, Jason Small, the rest of the guys about ready to get back to business here at Kansas.
Well, they sure are. Portengay right now is probably talking to his crew, telling them, hey, here's what's going on. They're eagerly awaiting, and I'm afraid that he's probably went a couple laps down, sitting down there in turn 1.
You'd certainly think he lost at least a lap, if not 2, and we'll find out more here. Brent Stover ready to talk to his crew chief. 1 lap till green, the indication coming down from the flag stand here at Kansas Speedway. Good crowd on hand for the inaugural weekend. You can tell the fans in this part of the world very hungry for NASCAR racing action because they have turned out in droves here this weekend.
What are you talking about, Rick? I mean, that is a great statement, but probably one of the biggest understatements in about the last 10 years. Hey, I mean, we're in the land of Toto, man. The only thing that's ever happened out here was great movies being made, so it's exciting to finally have auto racing in the Midwest.
Sure, fans on both coasts don't probably realize what a great short track area Missouri and Kansas have been for a long, long time.
Well, it definitely got my brother Rusty, my brother Mike, and myself started. We grew up around, the St. Louis area. We also grew up racing around this area, the legendary I-70 Speedway right down the road. And, of course, my dad raced right down the road here at Springfield, Missouri, Ozark Empire Fairgrounds, which is now closed. But, yeah, I mean, this is where we got it all done. This is where Mark Martin started. Larry Phillips, so great racing area.
Getting ready to restart here at the Kansas Speedway. Ash will be the restart leader. Sean Woodside in the 45 car. Tim Woods in the 50 was up in contention earlier, but looks like he has gone perhaps a lap down now. He's on the inside line there as the green flag goes up in the air. Lap 48, 52 to go. We're back underway here at Kansas. And Ash takes the 23 car quickly to the lead ahead of the 45 of Woodside. There's Woods in the 50.
On that restart, we always see the guy on the inside never beat the leader. That's a NASCAR rule. The guy that is a lap down cannot beat the leader to the start-finish line on a restart, or else you're black flagged.
Down into turn 3, Tim Wood is there.
I love that shot.
Yeah. John Woods in the mix as well. Everyone at the moment chasing Brandon Ash in the 23 and Sean Woodside in the 45. Let's find out more about Steve Portengay's situation. Here's Brent.
All right, Steve Portengay was having one heck of a run in second place. What happened?
I just had a misfortune in the Roto-Rooter car. We just broke a rear end on leaving that pit stop. So, one of those things that happens, a racing thing, and hopefully we can just get out there. And we got a great car today. The Roto-Rooter guys should be proud, but just one of those things that happens.
At this point, if you do get back out there, what do you try to get accomplished?
Get back as many laps as I lost down here.
Thank you very much, Steve Portengay.
So Portengay on pit road. Now, he hasn't taken the helmet off. Can you fix a rear axle like that, a rear end gear?
Well, you can fix it, but it's a major event. You've got a lot of nuts to take off the rear end. It's very hot. The crew member cannot get their hands on it until it gets cooled down. But, that's a shame. You said it right the very first time coming off at pit road. We had an idea it would be something in the drivetrain.
Now, something else to point out, Kenny, you mentioned this a little while ago. Pit road's very wide here, but where the cars pit, the pit boxes themselves are concrete. You get excellent grip on concrete, don't you?
Yeah, you sure do, and it has played havoc in the last 8 to 10 years. What these racetracks have realized is that when we spill gas on pit road, it eats that asphalt up, so everybody's making concrete. But, Rick, the problem is concrete, you get twice the amount of adhesion, and really it's hard on the drivetrain.
So, for instance, when Portengay came down off the jacks and put the car in gear, could have spun the tires and broken something right there.
Yes, and I'll tell you something that Buddy Parrott started about 3 years ago when Jeff Burton would leave the pits. A lot of these guys are putting oil dry down in the pits, so when the guy leaves, he spins his tires a little bit and takes a lot easier on the axles and all the drivetrain.
Watching a battle deeper in the pack, Frank Kimmel in the 46 trying to work his way back up into contention. That's Mark Reed in the yellow 4 machine there. Kimmel down low in that red 46 car with the black roof.
Wow, look at that center to corner speed.
Kimmel shown back in 12th spot right now. Coming up on Mark Reed, who's in 11th. Austin Cameron there in the mix as well as they haul down the backstretch. We jump on board Reed's machine. Kimmel gets by. Kimmel's gotten his lap back now, Kenny.
Great shot as you see Frank Kimmel go by there. This is off of turn 4.
Reed with the gas pedal to the mat. Come into the start-finish line. Looks like Austin Cameron right there with him. A little further up, Brendan Gaughan, meantime, has gotten by, and he takes John Wood with him by Sean Woodside. So Gaughan in the 16 car, gaining ground here. We're just past halfway at Kansas. We'll be back. Back at the Kansas Speedway on Fox Sports Net, Rick Benjamin with Kenny Wallace and Brent Stover downstairs as we watch plenty of racing action. The NASCAR Winston West Series, the Kansas 100, first race ever at the brand new Kansas Speedway here in 2001. Right now, everyone chasing Brandon Ash, but he's got his hands full. Jason Small and Sean Woodside among the cars and drivers trying to work their way back to the front. Small's turned in a good run today, as has Woodside, Kenny Wallace. But right now, Ash kind of showing the way. I think he's got a lot to think about in these next 35, 40 laps here.
Well, I tell you, you're right, but I think they all got a lot to think about because there's guys that have qualified clear back to 20th that now are running in the top 5, really figuring this new Kansas City racetrack out. I mean, all types of different grooves out here, Rick, on the white line in the middle of the racetrack, and it's going to be a barn burner right to the end.
Norris in the 32 up in the top 5 now. Here's Frank Kimmel in the 46. He started toward the front, ran up front early, had a tire problem, lost a lap on pit road. He's gotten back in contention. Look at how quick he is off the corner now. He'll duck to the inside here.
Yeah, that's Andy Hillenberg. Andy's still trying to find his chassis set up to get run a little bit better. But, I mean, it looks to me like this man is on a mission. Frank Kimmel's on his way to the front. Look at the speed over the other cars.
Hillenberg back in 8th spot, so Kimmel just moving to 7th, and he's going to try a middle move there and try to split the difference between Tim Wood's machine and Woodside. We jump on board Woodside, and there's Kimmel with the outside-in move.
Wow, what a view. That was incredible.
Into the corner here at Kansas, up onto the backstretch, it's Kimmel.
That couldn't have been any better timing, Rick.
No.
You see that? As soon as we went in-car camera, we went 3 wide.
That was a great look from Kimmel's machine. Kimmel making his first Winston West start ever here this weekend, but he is no slouch. 2-time defending ARCA REMAX Series champion. 5 wins on the year in ARCA so far.
Well, this team has really earned everything they could get as you look back through the field here. Johnny Borneman, Austin Cameron, and the ageless wonder, Herschel McGriff. Now we look at
John Wood there.
Wood.
Yeah,
Wood leading.
Wood in the 50 leading this group of cars ahead of Norris and Small. And they are running 2nd, 3rd, and 4th on the racetrack right now. Everybody chasing Brendan Gaughan, who has gotten the lead away from Brandon Ash. Ash has dropped way back, as a matter of fact.
We've got problems with Brandon Ash.
The Unified Western Grocers Ford way off the pace. We noticed he was not at the top of the leaderboard anymore. And Ash, way off the pace, comes to pit road. We'll try to find out what's wrong with that machine.
Really was a good-looking Ford there.
Yeah.
Nice body on it.
Very strong in the middle portions of the Kansas 100 here today. The 16 have gone. The Napa Chevrolet, he's the defending series champion, finally broke through with his first win several weeks ago in 2001. Everyone had high expectations for that team. That's the team that fields Herschel McGriff's machine as well. Gaughan has gone back to the top of the charts here now.
Brendan Gaughan qualified 8th, leading this group. That is your pole sitter, John Wood, running 2nd.
Norris right there in 3rd as we get a look at the rest of the top 10 with 40 laps to go. Troy Klein with a good run in that 11 car. He is in the top 10. Now, Klein has struggled in that machine much of this year. He has spun and wrecked several times. Outstanding sprint car driver in the SCRA for many years, tackling Winston West a couple of seasons ago. Starting to get the hang of things here at Kansas.
Now, Rick, everything that I'm looking at here shows me that Brendan, they catch Brendan Gaughan, and then it looks like something happened to John Wood. I think what happened is Eric Norris gets right up behind John Wood, makes him loose, and he can't make his attack. There's that Sammy Potashnik on the apron there,
yeah.
Still having problems. Wow, look at this. Look who's coming.
Yeah, Kimmel in the 46 has gotten to 5th spot now, and he's making tracks toward the leaders. Kimmel very much in contention for the win here today in the Kansas 100. Your leader, though, meantime, gone, starting to stretch it out a little more over John Wood last time, Bob.
Now, this is what we've been waiting for. Look at this. I mean, this is 5, 6 cars. Kimmel looks like Pac-Man. I mean, he's coming so fast. Look at this. He's going to mow right by him.
Jason Small in the 14, running in 4th spot. Kimmel will go to the inside of the 14 car and try to get the position down into 3, and he makes it look easy.
5 cars within 40 laps to go here at Kansas City. We got a barn burner on our hands, and it looks like Frank Kimmel is going to be a man on a mission. Probably going to have the lead here in about 10 laps.
Well, we'll see. Don't forget, tire wear has been the big story of the day. We've had several cars cut down tires. NASCAR threw a competition caution at 25 laps to give the teams a chance to come in and change tires and check tire wear and give the Hoosier Tire engineers a chance to look things over. Hasn't been a problem of late, though, as these teams have made a couple of stops. And here's Kimmel. As we go on board Eric Norris, he'll watch Kimmel just sail by on the low side.
Calm me down, Rick. I'm in the car. I'm driving it. This is a driver's dream. I mean, this guy's like, what's wrong with you guys? Kimmel's in his car right now saying, what's wrong with all you guys? I've had a couple race cars like this before, and right now this is going to be all fun for Frank Kimmel.
Well, this one's been gold-plated for Kimmel all year. He's got all those ARCA victories, his first start in Winston West, and we should tell you, Kenny, you may not have seen an ARCA race so far this year. They use a Ford on the short tracks, the Chevrolet on the Speedway, so they're not only racing every week in ARCA, but they're changing car brands back and forth.
Sounds to me like they've got it figured out. I mean, the Chevrolet and the Ford are great race cars. They're really good where they're good at, and he's got it all figured out. And as soon as I'm start talking about how great he is, here he goes in a second. Crowd goes wild.
Inside, John Wood, the Wood brothers' 19-year-old son and grandson, going for the win here today as well. John Wood pushes up high in the corner, and Kimmel sails by to 2nd spot.
And I'll tell you what, while all this is happening, John Wood gets on the outside and gets freight trained by Eric Norris and Jason Small.
Your leader continues to be Brendan Gaughan, but he's got Kimmel right with him now. Kimmel about 4 car lengths back as they come onto the front straightaway.
Wow, what a march to the front. Incredible. You know, earlier in the race, Frank Kimmel had this left front tire problem, got it all figured out. Probably got the air pressure adjusted, maybe took a little weight off that left front. Maybe he didn't do nothing. Maybe rubber's built up and the track's fine now.
Kimmel operates a family team. His brother Bill is the crew chief. Another brother builds motors for this team. Team owner, of course, is Larry Clement. And Larry Clement functions as one of the spotters for Frank Kimmel normally. But going against Brendan Gaughan's team, that's a veteran bunch as well, the defending Winston West Series champs. Now look, here's Eric Norris closing right up on the back end of the 46 car. Kimmel will try a sweep move to the inside, and he'll get it. Kimmel will take the point over here from Gaughan.
Eric Norris coming with him, making a race out of it.
Norris moves into 2nd spot.
Wow, incredible march. There it is. Frank Kimmel from 1 lap down, left front flat early in the race, makes his lap up and all the way back in the lead.
Clearly the fastest car on the racetrack here at the Kansas Speedway. We'll be back with more Winston West action in a moment. We are back at the Kansas Speedway, Kansas City, Kansas, the NASCAR Winston West Series. First race ever at the new Kansas Speedway, the Kansas 100 today. Your leader is Kimmel. Norris is 2nd, then Small. Gaughan had led for a long time. He's fallen all the way back to 4th. And Brandon Ash has fallen out of the chase. Let's go downstairs to Brett Stover and find out more.
All right, Brandon Ash is done for the day. And Brandon, what happened out there?
Oh, had a great car. You know, we led the race for a lot of laps, and looks like the motor dropped the valve. You know, we're not up to funding where we need to be to maintain motors, and it bit us today.
Frustrating for you and the team, quite obvious.
Oh, real frustrating. You know, obviously we had a car that could win the race and come all this way from out in the south, you know, and come back here and run and have this good of a run going and break. It's heartbreaking for everybody.
Tough way to have your afternoon end. Certainly, it does strain the motor to run at a big speedway like this, Kenny Wallace.
You know, all the credit in the world to these Winston West drivers, but, you know, let's talk about it. I mean, these guys run quarter miles, half miles, you know, maybe 4 or 5 times a year do they run these tracks. So just when they get in rhythm, you know, to spend a little bit of money, maybe replacing their valve springs every week, now they come to a track where they're going to turn this thing, you know, 8,800 RPMs, 9,000 RPMs, and when the motor does that, parts start breaking. Jason Small into the wall.
Jason Small, Small Construction Chevrolet, belts the wall up high in the corner, rides the fence for a good long way, comes to a stop finally, and that will bring out, no doubt, a yellow flag here at the Kansas Speedway. So Small, who'd led early on today as well for a bunch of laps. 69 laps on the board, our fourth caution of the afternoon here at Kansas. And Jason Small took a hard ride into the concrete. You'd almost think that could suggest a tire problem again. Let's take a look from an onboard camera here, riding with Brendan Gaughan.
Yeah, you're right. Seen the smoke, right front tire.
Gaughan sails by on the low side with no problem. So we are under caution. Kimmel will be the restart leader, and he will put lap number 70 on the board this time by.
You know, Rick, so much happening at that time. I don't know if you noticed it, but Eric Norris was right on Frank Kimmel. He was looking for to take the lead, and then Jason Small right front tire into the wall. So a lot of action right there in that one lap.
So a tough break indeed for Small. That number 14 car was very strong all weekend long here at Kansas, and he's done a lot of damage to that machine.
Wow, you know, I feel really bad for him. You know, so many guys today that have really looked strong. You know, obviously we've had tire problems. We've had drivetrain problems with Portengate. Now we have a motor problem with Brandon Ash. And here's Portengate coming back out to get some points.
Looks like they did effect repairs on the rear end of that machine. Portengate's been running. They're going to fuel the car as your leaders come down onto pit road with 30 to go. Kimmel will come to the attention of the crew, led by his brother Bill. One set of tires, a little fuel ought to get him home with 45 miles of racing left. Let's go downstairs to Brent Stover.
Okay, Frank Kimmel is in for the pit stop. He's got the lead, and now Mr. Kimmel is taking advantage of the yellow flag, and they're going to get it done as quick as they can and hopefully get him back out there in the lead. Of course, he blew a tire earlier, but he's come back, and right now on lap 71, he's in perfect position to take this race down the stretch.
Right side tires only, though, for Kimmel.
Wow, that's interesting. I mean, with having a left front flat earlier, you know, we've seen some tires go down, but, you know, sometimes when you take right side tires only on, it'll free your car up, meaning that if he's pushing a little bit, right side tires will make the car turn better. So you never know, but here they are. They come out same way they came in. Eric Norris running second. There's your leader, Frank Kimmel.
Safety crew still up working on the 14 car. Jason Small into the wall at the top of turn 2, coming up onto the backstretch, and there you see Jason out of the car with the helmet off. Looks like he's kind of sore, though, on the backside.
Yeah, Rick, you know, I don't like seeing this, but let me say it again. This is what makes our sport so popular, so famous. 200 miles an hour and blows a right front tire out and hits a concrete wall. You know, I don't like seeing this, but what I do like seeing is that he looks like he's got his bell rung. You know, he's got a couple people holding him up there and probably going to sit him down here and put him in the ambulance. Looks like he's walking off. Looks like a football player to me.
Yeah.
He's going to be all right.
Might have had the wind knocked out of him when he hit hard like that. That does happen in these situations at times. Kimmel back on the speedway, ready to try to win this one in the last 27 laps at Kansas. Back at Kansas Speedway, the Nascar Winston West Series here on Fox Sports Net. 8th race of the 2001 Winston West season. About ready to restart after the Jason Small wreck, and that was a hard lick. Small out of the car. He's okay, but look at this, Kenny Wallace. Mark Reed will restart first. Great pit stop for Reed's team.
Wow, that's incredible because we documented the pit stop of Frank Kimmel. We just knew he was leading, and looky here, Mark Reed has beat him out of the pits.
So Reed in the 4 car will lead him to green in just a moment as the Small Chevrolet comes in on the hook. Not a lot of damage certainly to the left side, but the right side is where all the impact was. And the Small team, that's a family operation. They'll have to go to work to get that car ready for the next Winston West event coming up in a week or so.
Yeah, let's give Jason Small all the credit in the world. Good job to Jason Small. Led the race. You were the guy, and you know, ends with a crash, but you're at home watching this race, and everything will be all right.
Let's talk about tire wear for a second, Kenny. It's been an issue here today. Tires have let go in several cases. New racetrack, new asphalt. And as a driver, you don't really know how long you've got probably on these tires. You don't get much warning, do you?
No, you sure don't. You know, that's why I'm wanting to give Jason all the credit in the world. I mean, here the guy had a great run going today. You kind of feel bad. We're up here in the booth watching this race go on, and like you said, you don't know when this is going to happen. Their crew chiefs have told them all day long, you know, look, there's some tire problems. Do what you can do. But in the same time, if you're off the pace, the crew's wanting to know what's going on. So, I mean, hey, It's Evel Knievel sometimes.
Well, Reed will be your restart pole sitter in the 4. That's Mike Duncan's 9 car. Remember, he had problems at the start of the race, couldn't get the car off of pit road. They finally did get it fired up. Duncan has not been up to speed. He is not on the lead lap. And right behind Reed, the 15 of Jack Sellers. We haven't heard much from Sellers today. He started 22nd. He's going to restart in second spot here, coming up almost 20 to go. We're not quite to that point yet, but shortly after the green flies, that's where we'll be. So Sellers with a good run as well in that 15 car. I'm not sure that he came into the pits during that last cycle. He may well be playing a track position game here in the last several laps.
Yeah, I think you're right. You got Mark Reed, who qualified 17th. Jack Sellers qualified 22nd. Look how big the 9 is on that car,
yeah.
Mike Duncan. That's the biggest number I've seen forever. Big number 9.
He wants to make sure everybody knows who he is. Green is in the air. 26 laps to go here at the Kansas Speedway. And we are back racing. Mark Reed down into the first corner off the start-finish line. Duncan trying to get a lap back. Portengay in the 3 trying to get a lap back as well from Sellers. The guy to watch, the 46 of Frank Kimmel, restarting 3rd as he's got Tim Woods in the 54 machine alongside him there. Woods not on the lead lap either.
Wow, 3-4 wide almost. They're going wild, race fans. It's towards the end. John Woods got his car adjusted on that pit stop. He's on the inside of Frank Kimmel.
Sellers in the 15 running in second spot. Tim Woods is there. Kimmel is 3rd. John Wood trying to get by him. And look at the move by Brendan Gaughan down below the line. Gaughan goes 4 wide.
That was incredible.
Mark Reed continues to lead meantime. Great action off that racer. These guys know it's time to go now. What was Brendan Gaughan thinking?
He was thinking it's time to go. Went under the white line like a crazy man. Got that debris and pushed up into turn 1, but lost time.
Mark Reed is still your leader. Let's find out what kind of strategy his team is playing down to Brent.
All right, the current points leader, Mark Reed, is in the lead, and his crew chief, Jerry Pitts, joins us. And Jerry, do you have enough gas to finish this thing off?
Yeah, we can make it to the end. We opted to stay out and get track position. We could make it to the end. We stopped the last caution, and figured that was the only way we could get to the front. It's pretty hard to pass right now. We thought it'd be a lot better off staying out there.
You consider this a pretty big gamble? You consider this a pretty big gamble staying out?
It's a little bit of a gamble, but we were in 10th place. It was so hard to pass, we figured that's where we were going to end up anyway. So we figured we'll go to the front and make them pass us. They might be able to, but they're going to have to do it.
Well, one guy who just made a great pass, Frank Kimmel, whipping by John Wood's machine. Andy Hillenberg tuck it in behind as well as we approach lap number 80.
Rick, I just want to know what it is about this front straightaway. I mean, even Frank Kimmel just went under the white line down on the inside surface. So they love straightening out that front straightaway.
That's what you've got to do to try to make some time as we watch Kimmel trying to approach the leaders, get up and contend. Mark Reed is still out in front in the 4 car. And as you heard Jerry Pitts say a moment ago, they gambled on track position, did not stop with the rest of the field last time out. Last time the caution came out just a few laps ago. Here comes Kimmel in that Advanced Auto Parts Chevrolet, the 46 car, trying to steam toward the front. Tim Woods in the 54 is a lap down. Jack Sellers, though, in the 15, very much in contention here. This is for second spot now. Here's Kimmel to the inside. John Wood will go with him, and they'll get by. Sellers will be picked off by the machine of Woods. John Wood will look like a little contact there, perhaps, with the 15 car.
Wow, what happened with John Wood is what I pointed out at the start of the race. The white line is nice, but if you get underneath it too much, it'll make you loose. He almost lost it.
We'll be back at Kansas. Back with you at Kansas Speedway, the inaugural event at Nascar Winston West Round, the 8th race of the season, the Kansas 150 miles of action here today. Everyone with their eyes on that red and black 46 machine. Clearly, Frank Kimmel, Kenny Wallace has the fastest car on the racetrack. He's second to Mark Reed. He's got a lot of track position to make up here in the next 20 laps.
20 laps to go. Mark Reed out front. Pit decision to not take on tires. And here comes Pac-Man, Frank Kimmel. He's been doing this all day long. Now look at this. John Wood, as fast as Frank Kimmel right now, it's going to be a barn burner. 19 laps to go. They got to catch that guy at the left of your screen.
Now, as much problem as some of these teams have had with tire wear, you've got to think that Mark Reed is not going to be able to hang on for 20 laps.
Well, you know what? You're right. I mean, we got to give credit that Mark Reed is leading this race, and he's doing a darn good job. I mean, he's out there, he's leading it. But looky here, these two guys have got brand new tires on. You got to think they're going to do it. You think they're going to catch him.
They're hooked up together, of course, in a draft, which should allow them to pick up a little speed as well. compared to what the leader's able to run right now.
Look at this. Look at this. John Wood on the inside of Frank Kimmel just takes a look. Cannot make the pass.
19 years old. Kimmel in his 40s. Kimmel's been racing an awfully long time. John Wood for just a couple of years. That is youth and determination taking on age and guile.
Yep. Let me tell you what, and his timing was just right. He made good timing from the middle of the corner. We see it too, folks. We see it. There it is. There's the leader.
Catching up to Mark Reed very quickly now. Reed in the 4 is out in front. Kimmel in the 46. Wood in the 50 are second and third.
Look at the run that John Wood gets up off that corner.
They are just gobbling up ground on Reed. This will take no time at all. Kimmel will sweep underneath Reed to take the lead back for the first time since the opening laps here today, and Wood comes with him.
Hey, you know what's interesting here, though? Okay, Frank Kimmel, John Wood running first and second, but let's go back to Mark Reed's crew chief. He said, we're running 10th. Well, they don't want to run 10th. So now, hey, if they can hold on to third, that'd be a good move.
Well, they're the point leaders, and they're trying to protect their points lead. We're past the halfway point of the season.
Right, exactly. So, hey, okay, you know, he got the lead taken away from him, but, hey, if they can finish third instead of 10th, that's going to be a good call. Especially
when you consider that Kimmel is not racing regularly in the series. This is his first ever Winston West start, and John Wood's only made a couple of starts as well. Neither of these drivers that are ahead of Reed right now are point championship contenders.
Right, and let's make a little bit of an excuse here, but a realistic excuse. The two cars that you see on the screen right now, Frank Kimmel, John Wood, they got what I call East Coast Winston Cup knowledge. These two cars are close to the Winston Cup team. Now, Frank Kimmel is on his own. All the knowledge Frank Kimmel has is what he has in his race shop. But he does run a lot of those Winston Cup tracks, has a lot of knowledge. So this guy running second, John Woods, well, gosh, that's the Wood brothers' son.
Yeah, they're in a Wood brothers Taurus today. John Wood is, and that's a very, very quick race car. And Wood right behind Kimmel as they come up onto the front stretch.
So that number 50 car running second, that's actually a number 21 Ford Motorcraft Elliott Sadler car, painted up different colors. This car could be dedicated to John Wood, probably is. Doing a great job. John got underneath that yellow line and got it loose.
Now the white line, of course, is paint. I wouldn't think you'd have quite as much grip if you actually put a tire on the white line.
Yeah, what happens here, Rick, you're right. Okay, the paint is okay. You would think that paint is slippery, but for some reason that paint adds adhesive. Now what's going on is when he gets those left side tires off of the banking and onto the flat surface, it does what we call lift. It de-wedges the car, takes the left rear tire off the ground. So he goes from banking to flat.
On board, Brendan Gaughan trying to get back into contention. Gaughan led earlier. He's down back in about 7th spot right now. Looks like he's got Eric Norris directly in front of him in the Jana King Taurus there. Norris in 6th, Gaughan in 7th. A couple of drivers who definitely are running for the championship in Winston West right now, and they're nose to tail.
Yeah, great race. So you can see them trying to catch the pack. Now these two right here are trying to catch this pack right here. That's Andy Hillenberg in the BAM car. Wow. Close one right there.
Norris hanging on against Gaughan. Gaughan has led the most laps on the Winston West Tour this year. Coming into today, he had led 284 trips in the 7 races run so far. Now lap traffic. Gaughan may have a chance to get by Norris here. Andy Hillenberg's machine in the mix. Looks like Tim Wood's car is there as well.
Tim Woods is down a lap, does the racer's thing, gets out of the way, says, okay, I'm going to come back and get underway right as y'all go by. Now, through all this, Brendan Gaughan has lost a little bit off of Eric Norris.
Sure has. He's dropped back about 12 car lengths. Gaughan also the leading money winner this season on the Winston West Tour, coming in here to Kansas. He won more than $61,000 in purse money as those two machines battle it out for position, closing in on lap 90.
Rick, what I don't like seeing is this call made right here. That's the number 4 car, Mark Reed. We were hoping that he was going to finish third with that call made in the pits and not take on tires, but darn it, it's not going to work out in his favor. He's dropping like a rock right now.
Gets shuffled back to 5th spot by Eric Norris. So Norris trying to get up into contention. Meantime, Wood is giving Frank Kimmel all he wants in the last few laps at Kansas. Just a handful of laps to go at the Kansas Speedway in Kansas City, Kansas. John Wood trailing Frank Kimmel, battling for the lead. Let's talk to Wood's crew chief.
A dozen laps to go. Steve Levitt, the crew chief for John Wood. And Steve, right now, the 19-year-old kid is in second place, and it's tight. What do you think?
I don't know. We'll find out in 10 laps, won't we?
You think he's got the savvy to do it?
He's got the savvy heavy, but he's not saying anything, so we'll just wait and see.
What's he telling you from inside the car?
Ain't said a word. You just leave him alone. Just leave him alone, let him go.
Wow, here he goes, too, to the inside. Coming up. Oh, and he touches. He touches Kimmel. Kimmel out of shape, saves it somehow, and Wood takes a big lead.
Wow, that was incredible. I was just getting ready to say, John Wood has been flirting with that white line all day long, getting into 3. Does the same thing. Kimmel trying to protect his position, both of them racing for what racing's about. Racing to the end, not nobody's fault. That was just hard racing, and John Wood gets down on that white line because Kimmel was bringing him down. I cannot believe that man right there in the right hand of that screen saved it. Now let's see what happens.
Wow, Wood put the right front fender of his Taurus against the left rear quarter panel of the Chevrolet, the 46 car. I think Kimmel did the best driving job of the day to keep that car off the wall.
Well, looky here.
Another car in trouble. Johnny Borneman's machine has apparently blown a motor. That is definitely engine death smoke out the back and the sides of the 8 car. So it looks like a caution will be coming out on the Speedway in all likelihood. Borneman staying up high on the racetrack, undoubtedly putting moisture down. And in fact, the yellow is out with 8 laps to go.
Okay. Want me to throw this scenario at all of you race fans out there? Kimmel,
and he's going to spin. Borneman almost loses it and does lose it.
Borneman's in his own oil going too fast. Oh, and touches the left front fender on the wall.
So the red line oil for to Borneman. His afternoon comes to an early end here, and could have been a bad situation.
Yeah, he's got fire out the left front. This is a serious situation, and I don't think this gentleman knows what's going on under his car.
Wow. There is a serious fire burning, and the engine's still running. That's the thing that's amazing to me. I thought he had shut it down, Kenny Wallace.
Okay, here's what's going on. Johnny's running around, and he thinks he's just going to go back to the pits. He's got a huge leak. He spins out, and now he's bursting into flames.
He's got the window net down. He's trying to get that thing stopped or slowed down enough so he can bail out, I suspect.
Come on, Johnny, get out of there.
He can't see anything.
He cannot be breathing. Everything's flying apart. The tires are blowing apart. He's trying to jump out of it. Get out of there, Johnny.
Stops it on the grass. Safety crew right behind him. Borneman will bail quickly. Jumps out, rolls on the ground, and he will crawl away from that race car. Fire crew is on the scene. We're under caution at Kansas. Welcome back to the Kansas Speedway on Fox Sports Net. I'm Rick Benjamin with Kenny Wallace. Brent Stover on pit road. Johnny Borneman safely out of the 8 car. Looks like his hands are being looked at there by the track workers who are on the scene. They throw fire bottles at the 8, get the fire put out under the hood. Kenny, hard to imagine. Borneman drove that car. The engine was running. I thought the engine had let go with all that smoke.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Johnny is a winner. I mean, the guy's a great racer. So what happens is he breaks an oil line. He's got smoke going everywhere. He just thinks he's got smoke going everywhere. He doesn't realize all this oil is out all over the track, spins out in it, says, oh my gosh, I'm embarrassed, takes off, then the car bursts into flames, and the poor guy's he's inhaled all that smoke.
So he will go in the back of the ambulance here at Kansas and take a ride to the infield care center. Tough break, especially because Borneman has won once on the tour this year. He was running 9th here today when the incident took place. So Borneman will give up a apparent top 10 opportunity here in Kansas, and that will cost him dearly in the points chase. John Wood, meantime, after that spectacular incident a few moments before, with the contact with Frank Kimmel's machine, Wood will be the restart leader, but Kimmel will be right up on his back bumper. Let's get Bill Kimmel's thoughts.
All right, we're under caution with 6 laps left to go, and Frank Kimmel's crew chief, Bill Kimmel, is with us. You're in 2nd place right now. Is this caution actually a good thing for your team?
Well, it is right now, just to cool the tires down, because them's actually the tires we started to race on. So, you know, like I said before, if we can keep tires on, I think we'll be okay. So I don't know. 50's awful strong. We'll just see what happens here at the end.
You think the tires will be good to go the rest of the way?
Well, they'll have to be regardless now. We got to go. So we can go. We'll try to go right here.
So Bill Kimmel has plenty of confidence in his team, especially his brothers in the driver's seat.
Wow, what an incredible turn of events. Looks like Frank Kimmel is going to be the guy to beat. John Woods comes into pits 20, 30 laps ago, makes a chassis adjustment, and he's the guy to beat right now. John Wood, what an incredible situation here where he was a 2nd to 3rd to 4th place car all day long and made a great chassis adjustment, and he has just run down Frank Kimmel.
Wood from Stewart, Virginia, 19 years young. Eddie Wood's son, of course, 3rd generation of the Wood brothers. Strapping in and doing a heck of a job. He's very much early in the learning curve as a stock car driver, but is well on his way, apparently, to being a major star in the years to come. Kimmel is a veteran, two-time ARCA champion, defending ARCA champion, and the current ARCA point leader. Ought to be a great shootout to the checkered flag here at Kansas when we come back. Back at the beautiful new Kansas Speedway here on the NASCAR Winston West Series, the opening event at this new racetrack in Kansas 100 today here on Fox Sports Net. Jack Sellers pitting the 15 car just before we go green again for right side tires and fuel. Kenny, he was shown 13th, last car on the lead lap, decides to make one more stop to try to gain some ground.
That's the luxury of being the last car on the lead lap. You got nothing to lose. You come in, you put 4 new balonies on, and he's going to stick a lot better than those guys in front of him. And he's figuring he's going to knock him off some positions with a couple to go, maybe.
4 new what?
I call them baloney skins.
Do you?
No, I'm just a little. Hey, you know, I mean, sometimes you got to have a little bit of radical talk going on.
There you go. Well, he's whatever they call him, they're on that 15 car, and he's back up on the racetrack, as is John Wood, getting ready to restart with just a couple of laps to go here at Kansas. Now, if you're Frank Kimmel and you're going to restart second, you've had the fastest car much of the day, how are you going to approach this?
Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm in this position. I'm Frank Kimmel. I am going to put my nose right on the back of John Wood's bumper. I'm not going to push him. I'm going to leave it 2 inches off, and I'm going to make him really loose. And I'm going to make John Wood not be able to hang on to it because I'm up there making him loose. And I'm going to get by him, and that's what I got to do. I got to be really ready to go. Now, let me say something. Go back early in this race. The 50 car has not got any good restarts today. There's something going on there.
Perhaps a little gearbox problem, perhaps an inability to get that car up to 3rd or 4th gear, and thus up to speed. The Ford Taurus safety car leads the field around. They're still working to get the aid of Johnny Borneman, the car that had the oil problem and then the fire, off the racetrack and back behind the wall.
Regardless, it is going to be the thriller in Manila, race fans.
You've been waiting all year to say that,
Oh,
I know, haven't
can't
you?
wait. Hey,
Yeah.
Rick, what about that right front fender on that 50 car? Did you see all that?
A little bit of damage from that contact with Kimmel's machine, I think.
Woo-hoo.
Yeah, he laid the wood to Frank Kimmel, so to speak.
Oh, very good. Very good. I'll tell you, man, what a race. We've been waiting for something like this. All these Winston West races have been just incredible this year. And look, they're not disappointing us at this very first race at Kansas City.
Haven't talked much about Andy Hillenburg today. We thought at the top of the broadcast, Hillenburg from Charlotte in the BAM Pontiac, the 48 car, would be a contender. He qualified 5th. Quietly, Andy has brought that car back up to 3rd. So we'll see if he can do anything with either Wood or Kimmel here in the remaining couple of laps.
Yeah, and that's a sign of a great race car driver. Look here, okay, we watched the race all day long, and we haven't seen Andy Hillenburg. Well, that's because his car isn't ready to go yet. He takes care of it. Now he's there at the end. And, hey, he was quiet. You didn't see him, but his car wasn't ready to go. So that's a sign of somebody like a David Pearson, a Cale Yarborough. You know, they're there when it counts.
And that is the black and yellow machine you saw there, 3rd in line. That 48 car is a Pontiac, and Andy Hillenburg is wheeling that machine. So we're hoping for a restart. 1 lap till we go green to settle this one here at Kansas. First half of a doubleheader weekend. The ARCA REMAX Series also in the garage area. Kimmel will turn right around and throw some tires and gas at that machine and come on out for their race in just a moment. There's that damage Kenny was talking about to the right front corner of the 50 from that contact with Kimmel earlier.
Yeah, 2 scenarios here. Okay, we got 1 lap till green. Let's point it out, Rick. Okay, right front fender damage, not good for the aerodynamics on the 50 car. He's seeing all the air first. Second thing, he hasn't got any good restarts today. Yeah. He knows that in his mind. So I got to believe that Kimmel's going to be all over him on his start.
Well, he'll certainly want to make it work quickly because there'll only be 2 laps to go when the green comes back out. Now we see Hillenburg. He'll line up in 3rd. Eric Norris is in the mix, and Brendan Gaughan here in the last couple of laps as well. So you've got some strong race cars. Sean Woodside is right there, as is the 4 car of Mark Reeves. You've got some guys with a lot on the line here. We get ready to go racing in just a moment.
Okay, John Wood, I'm your fan favorite right now. I'm up here. I'm rooting you on. You're 19 years old. We want you to win this race. We want you to hold old Frank Kimmel off. And I want Frank Kimmel to give you a run for your money because we love watching a race like this.
And it's a good learning experience for John Wood. He's obviously here in the Winston West Series part-time this year to gain experience, to learn how to wheel these big Winston Cup-type stock cars around. And he's gained a lot of experience quickly, I think it'd be safe to say.
Yeah, and the thing about John, he's going to figure out, look here, you can't run the guy on the apron. You can't run him in the wall. You can do that at Richmond, Virginia, a little half mile, but you can't do it here running 200 mile an hour. Here we go.
Safety car dives in. They'll get the green, then the white, and the checkered here at Kansas Speedway to settle this one today. 2 to go. and we're back underway. Wood is your leader. Kimmel all over.
Wow.
Wood not up to speed. Kimmel under the line for the lead, and he gets by.
Gosh, didn't we call it?
Yeah.
If there's something wrong with John Wood's car on them restarts.
Just doesn't take off very well, evidently. Kimmel takes the opportunity to retake the point. There'll be the white flag this time by.
That was incredible. We didn't think it would happen again, but Frank Kimmel allowed to go under that white line, make the pass on the flat. Wood coming back at him.
John Wood looking high as they come onto the front straightaway. Of course, it's D-shaped here at Kansas. There's the white flag in the air. Last time around, this mile-and-a-half brand-new racetrack, and Hillenburg is right there, too.
Wow, incredible. Andy Hillenburg not there all day long. Look at him on their bumpers. Wood on
now.
the outside.
Wood will try him on the high side to the backstretch. This is for the win. Down the back straightaway, John Wood and Frank Kimmel.
Wow, this is incredible. Coming to the checker, John Wood on the outside, Frank Kimmel on the inside.
They are door-to-door for the victory here at Kansas. Kimmel down low. Wood pushes high. He's going to have to tuck in behind, and Kimmel will come to the stripe and get the victory. Frank Kimmel wins the first ever race here at the Kansas Speedway. John Wood has to settle for second. Kenny, I thought he had him on the backstretch.
Wow, that was incredible. I think John just took her in there to make sure he was going to get the lead. Probably picked up the gas a little quick. I'd have done the same thing. And, you know, the bottom of the track was the place to be. He had track position. John Wood had the fastest car at the end. But, hey, it was that restart that killed him.
So Frank Kimmel in the Advance Auto Parts Chevrolet grabs the win, his first ever Winston West start. Comes home with his first Winston West victory here today, and John Wood with a terrific run to second.
Bill Kimmel, your brother made one heck of a move when they dropped the green flag after the caution. What did he do?
Well, we've been taking off better than 50 all day. He just got a really good run and protected himself that time, so 50 couldn't get back under him. So he just did a really nice job. Frank won the race for us today right there.
How are you feeling right now?
This is good. Now we got to get 200 laps to go here in this ARCA car. We need to get going.
All right, enjoy it.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Bill Kimmel, the brother of Frank, and Frank with quite a move, and they win it. Back to you guys.
So the Advanced Auto Parts team comes home with the victory in the first ever event here at the Kansas Speedway. Kimmel's car hardly clean, Kenny Wallace. A lot of contact back and forth between he and Wood and some other drivers. We'll talk to the winner when we come back. Welcome back to the Kansas Speedway in Kansas City, Kansas. The Kansas 100 for the Nascar Winston West Series in the books. Frank Kimmel, the winner, Kenny Wallace. An exciting duel to the checkered flag with John Wood.
It was incredible. And here he is, your winner.
Kimmel climbing out, certainly no stranger to victory lane, leads 29 of the 100 laps here today. And remember, he came from one lap down early on after that cut tire. He was one of the first drivers here to have tire problems today. He gets to victory lane in a hurry. Let's go downstairs to Brent and talk to him.
All right, guys, Frank Kimmel joins us now. And Frank, how about that move when they dropped the green after the caution?
Well, it was just had a good run. John was having a little trouble on restarts all day, and he tried to block, but he treated me really clean, and he's got a lot of nerve. He drove on the outside of me there. He wasn't watching this race very good. I don't think he should have been on the outside, but he had a great motor too. But I got to thank Joe Ryan. He put this motor together, and man, that's the first time I've driven a 9.1 that had that much power forever. It was a really good motor.
Well, congratulations, Frank Kimmel, your winner. Back up to you guys.
Kimmel showing the effects of the heat, 150 miles of very warm action here at the Kansas Speedway. Wood and Hillenburg with a good run today, and then Gaughan and Woodside, the rest of the top five, Kenny.
Wow, I'll tell you what, Mark Reed coming in 6th, Eric Norris, Austin Cameron, my man, Troy Klein, and Mike David rounding out the top 10.
Good run for Klein, too, one of his best outings of the year in that 11 car. Of course, the big prize is the season championship coming up at the end of the year. Mark Reed has been in command there for much of the way as we take a look at 11th through 20th. Bill Sedgwick, Sellers. Tim Woods a lap down, still gets 13th ahead of Herschel McGriff and Scott Gaylord. Borneman with that wreck and oil fire still gets 16th out of it. Sammy Potashnik with big problems as well. Steve Portengay had troubles today, as did Mike Duncan. Jason Small got into the fence, still finishes 20th. And you have Ash and O'Neill, Saito and Richards rounding out the running order here today in the Kansas 100. Meantime, let's look at the points. Reed adds to his lead just ever so slightly over Gaughan, Cameron, Norris, and Portengay, all very close.
Wow, I'm going to tell you what, these guys can't afford to have anything happen. You can drop from 4th to 10th in a heartbeat.
Sure can, as we take a look at the second 10 in points. Former champion Sedgwick, Potashnik, who had problems today. Klein had a good run today, as did Herschel McGriff. And Tim Woods, even though he was a lap down, sits 15th in points. Then you've got a big gap back to Sellers. Ross Thompson, who didn't run here this weekend. Duncan, and Beam. But a great run for the drivers at the head of the pack. Frank Kimmel comes home the winner, and he will do double duty here today. He'll run the 200-lap ARCA event coming up in just a short time. John Wood in that 50 car, making his third Winston West start of the season. Got a lot of valuable experience, I think, today.
Boy, he did. I mean, this kid's coming on. He's being groomed to be in one of those Roush cars or one of the Woods Brothers cars. Look out, about 4 to 5 years, he'll be Winston Cup.
The 19-year-old certainly got plenty of self-confidence. Obviously is not afraid of a close battle, as we saw, as he just put the fender to Frank Kimmel in an effort to win. Let's talk to the second-place finisher.
Thanks a lot, guys. John Wood joins us now. And, John, just your initial reaction after finishing this race.
Well, I guess I was fortunate to finish it because of all the tire problems that everybody had been having. I think I talked with you about this earlier in the day. You know, the tires just blistered up terribly bad, and Frank and Brendan Gaughan and I had already planned that we were just going to ride for the first 80 laps or so, and as it turned out, that's what happened.
With 2 laps to go, you had the lead as they got out of the caution and got back into racing. What happened there right on the restart?
Well, I knew I was a sitting duck because the transmission that we were running is a little bit different than everybody else's, and it's not as good in third gear. So I knew he was going to get around me more than likely, and I was just trying to plan how I was going to get back by him again.
All right, well, thanks a lot.
Yeah, man.
John Wood finishes second. He has 3 starts now on the Winston West Series. He's finished second twice, still looking for that first victory. Back up to you guys.
What do you think? John Wood, pretty heady young race driver.
Wow, Rick, I think that was a great interview. John, if you're watching this, you answered everything we wanted to know today. You told us you rode. Now let's watch this. Here is Kimmel taking the lead.
This is another look back at what happened in the final couple of laps here today at Kansas, sweeping by the 4 of Mark Reed, taking Wood with him. Now here's the move that everybody's going to be talking about, the contact.
Wow, tires under the white line, totally under the white line. Hey, forget it. Here's what we're looking at. Look at Frank Kimmel. Look at him. Look at him. He's got talent, man.
Dirt track in that race car to keep it off the wall.
That was great. That was awesome.
Now, I would have thought that he would have torn up the tires unbelievably there and really taken himself out of contention.
That's right, but here's what John Wood told us. Third gear, no good of a third gear. Need a new transmission, cost him the race.
Kimmel sweeping by with just a couple of laps to go there. But he was able to hang on and ride home the rest of the way. Wood tried mightily on the final lap. Not this lap, but the next lap after they got the 1 to go. Down into 3 here.
I'll tell you one thing, though, great interview. Told us that he'd been riding all day long. That's why he was so fast at the end. John Wood riding all day long, taking care of his tires.
Kimmel didn't give him any room to work with as they took the white flag. But now when you come around the second corner and to the top of the backstretch, take a look at the move by John Wood. Sets himself up going to the high side here.
Just because it's gray doesn't mean it won't stick.
It stuck well for him, and I thought Wood had Kimmel at this point. He got almost a car length ahead.
I thought he had it for sure, but he didn't have him cleared, so he couldn't get down in front of him.
Kimmel able to hang on the bottom side of the racetrack, and then off the corner you could see the 50 car just push up high.
Yeah, not as much adhesion, a different corner than turn 2.
And that was it. Kimmel taken off to victory here at the Kansas Speedway. So the veteran Frank Kimmel in his first Winston West start comes home a big winner here today, breaking in a brand new speedway in the Midwestern part of the United States. For Brett Stover and for Kenny Wallace, I'm Rick Benjamin congratulating Frank Kimmel and the Larry Clement team. We'll see you next time here on Fox Sports Net.